Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about Karina, one of the deadliest assassins that is capable of killing an entire team by herself. In this video, I will also talk about how Karina works in full details, which includes her passive, skills, builds, emblems, combos, along with some tips and guide on how to use her in a match. So, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Karina has remained as one of the most popular and strongest assassins in the game. What makes her so special is that she has the ability to completely wipe out the whole enemy team by herself if used correctly. She is also known as the best hero for getting savage in a game. But mastering her can be difficult, especially if you have never used her before. So, in order to master Karina, one must understand how her passive and skills work. So let's start with her passive. With the help of her passive, every time you deal damage to the enemies, they will be marked by your passive. Each enemy can be marked 3 times by her passive, and on the 3rd mark of her passive, the passive marks will explode, dealing true damage equal to 50 plus 5% of the target's lost HP. And if you don't know what lost HP means, then let me explain. Lost HP means the amount of health the enemies have lost. So if I attack an enemy while they have full HP, my passive will not deal a lot of damage. But if I attack that same enemy while his health is low, then the passive will deal more damage. In short, the lower the HP of the enemy, the more damage you will deal with your passive. And since her passive is considered as a true damage, there is no way to counter it, since true damage ignores all kinds of defense. And every time you deal damage to the enemies using your passive, the cooldown of your first and second skill will get reduced by 1.5 seconds. Her passive is pretty broken in my opinion, since it deals true damage and also reduces the cooldown of her first and second skill, allowing you to spam your skills. Now, let's talk about her first skill. With the help of her first skill, Karina enters the Dance of Blades state for 3.5 seconds, during which she gains 45% extra movement speed, and also blocks all incoming basic attacks, and reflects 100 magic damage back to the attacker. So it pretty much means that you are immune to basic attacks during this state. And this is quite useful against marksmen, as they mainly use their basic attacks in order to deal damage. But remember, this skill can only reflect basic attacks, meaning the enemies can still attack you using their skills. And your next basic attack will also get enhanced during this state. And if you use your basic attack during this state, you will dash towards the enemy and deal 150 magic damage, and the enemy will also be slowed by 45% for 1 second. And your enhanced basic attack from your first skill is a guaranteed critical strike, but using your enhanced basic attack will end the duration of Dance Blade state. This skill is your main source of mobility, so make sure to use this skill to chase or escape from enemies. Now, let's talk about her second skill. With the help of her second skill, Karina launches a spinning slash, dealing 375 magic damage to nearby enemies. And hitting an enemy with this skill will also add a passive mark on them. And this is your main source of damage, so make sure to max out this skill first. Now, let's talk about her ultimate skill. With the help of her ultimate skill, Karina dashes to the target enemy hero, dealing 350 magic damage, and also applying a shadow mark to the enemy hit. And you will also leave a shadow form behind the enemy. And after that, you can then use her ultimate again to dash back at the shadow form, dealing 150 magic damage along the way. If you use this skill on an enemy, and if you manage to kill that enemy, the cooldown of this skill will get reset, allowing you to use this skill again. And no matter how far you are from the shadow form, activating this skill again will cause you to dash towards it. Make sure to use this skill as a finisher in order to make the most out of it. Now, let's talk about her combo. For her combo, you can do different kinds of combos using Karina. But there are 2 combos that you must prioritize learning, so let's start with the first combo. Now, let's talk about her builds and emblems. For Karina, you must prioritize buying items that can increase your overall magic power. And since she can already deal true damage and critical damage using her passive and first skill, you don't need to buy magic penetration items, and you can instead focus on increasing your overall magic power. And for that, this is the best build for her. This build will allow you to burst down the enemies within seconds, increasing your killing potential. Now, let's talk about her emblems and talents. For her emblem, go for the Mage emblem, as the Mage emblem is the most suitable emblem for Karina. And for her first talent, go for Rapture. Rapture will provide you with +5 adaptive penetration, increasing your damage potential. And for her second talent, go for Seasoned Hunter. Seasoned Hunter will increase your damage against Turtle and Lord by 15%. And for her core talent, go for Lethal Ignition. Lethal Ignition will help you burst down the enemies, increasing your chances of successfully killing the enemies. Now, let's talk about her gameplay and how to use her in a match. During the early game, make sure to unlock your second skill first, as it is your main source of damage. And always make sure to start with the blue buff when using Karina. And you must try to reach level 4 as fast as you can. And after you reach level 4, you must prioritize ganking the gold lane. And after ganking the gold lane, your next target should be securing the turtle. So, your early game priorities are farming, reaching level 4, ganking the gold lane, and securing the turtle. Now, let's talk about her mid-game. During the mid-game, Karina starts to deal a lot more damage, and this is the stage where you can start shining. And your main priority during the mid-game should be killing their mage and marksman, as they are the easiest to kill. But in my case, I wasn't able to kill their marksman, because their Franco was constantly babysitting her. And as you can see, I had a pretty good start, and I even managed to get 3 kills within 4 minutes into the game. But for some reason, my teammates started to throw the game by taking fights while I was not around. And the enemies somehow managed to make a comeback. And to add it up, our Benedetta is our roamer, meaning we don't have any frontliner who can tank for us, making it more difficult for us to win. And at this point, we are way behind in terms of gold and level, which means we won't be able to win a teamfight against them. And the best thing you can do in a situation like this is just continue farming and try avoiding fights as much as you can. And just keep defending the turrets. Remember, the way you perform during the mid-game will decide the outcome of the late game. Now, let's talk about the late game. As you can see, the enemies became overconfident, and they're pretty much starting to lose because of it. And taking that to our advantage, we are slowly making a comeback. And at this point, all I had to do was kill their mage and marksman. But in order to do that, I have to be very patient. I had to wait for their tank to get distracted, or else I would get ulted by their tank, and they would just be able to kill me. Remember, timing and positioning is the key to winning during the late game. And remember, when using Karina, you must always try to strike from the backline. And instead of rushing into a fight whenever you see an enemy, it's better to be patient and wait for the right moment to strike. Since the respawn time is really long during the late game, you must always wait for the perfect moment before striking. Here, I could have easily one-shot their Argus. But instead of that, I was actually waiting for their marksman, as she was the main damage dealer of the enemy team. And just like that, I managed to wipe out the whole enemy team. And as I've mentioned before, the respawn time is very long during the late game, meaning we were instantly able to end the game at this point. So, what do you think about Karina? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. And consider leaving a like on the video if you enjoyed. And subscribe to my channel if you're new. I make tutorials and informative videos about the game. Thank you for watching.